So good morning, guys. A very warm welcome. So I've already started with the recording. So yesterday we hadn't taken traffic filters, so we'll start from there. Okay. So the first topic for the day is traffic filters. So here we'll be describing what is Defense Pro's traffic filters and explain how the traffic filters component can help you along with the other Defense Pro protection modules that we have, which I've already discussed till yesterday. So first of all, the need. So traffic filters, it is a manual approach and gives you more granular control over what you can do with the protection profiles. The earlier protection profiles that we have seen till now, okay, so most of them were working automatic behind the scenes, right? So we were not able to classify a certain network, okay, like like this network should be the one that we are detecting. Okay, the incoming traffic was primarily not getting detected. It was basically happening automatically, right? So here we can define more granularity. Okay, we can define which traffic we want to inspect. Okay, and what action need to be taken based on the traffic that we are receiving. Okay, so all those things can be done with the help of traffic filters. So here it gives you a more granular control, flexibility to meet unique needs, and it is faster. So it's the response is much faster, and we can certainly block the attacks using traffic filters as well. The solution, it gives you granularity, which is the primary main advantage when it comes to traffic filters. Now, these are user-defined filters. You specify the source network, destination network, source port, destination port. There are some advanced filters as well, like you can tag based on VLANs, etc. So you can classify the traffic, and then if that traffic matches the rule that you have configured, okay, then the Defense Pro will take action accordingly. We'll explain how that works. But as of now, traffic filters is used to create custom rules, okay, or create custom flexible filters. It is simple to configure and it works at a policy level. So traffic filters is just like any other protection profiles that we have seen till now. So like BDOS protection, like SYN protection, like DNS protection, traffic filters is also a protection profile, okay, which you need to enable, and this is attached at a policy level. So this is attached at a policy level. So there are two things. So how we can classify a traffic? So there are two levels. First is matching and second is non-matching logic. Okay. So there is matching and there is non-matching logic. So what is a matching logic? Okay. So what is matching logic? So here, if you define, let's suppose a network like something like this, like it is coming from this source, okay, and so this would be your matching logic. So when a client comes via this IP, okay, or from that particular range, let's suppose /24, okay. So the matching logic would be every IP within this range, right? So every IP within that particular network would be your matching logic. Now, what is non-matching logic? So now let's suppose in the criteria you have defined 27.1.0.0/24. If it is non-matching logic, okay, what the Defense Pro will be checking is what is not matching in the incoming client request. So any IP other than the IP in this particular range would be your non-matching logic. And we can take actions based on the matching logic or based on the non-matching logic. I'll just explain it once more. So let's suppose the criteria that we have defined is source IP starting from this particular range, okay, 27.1.0.0/24. So any request coming from this client IP range, okay, within /24 network, that would be the matching logic, okay. And if the request is coming from that IP range, then an action will be taken on the matching logic. Okay. Now, what is non-matching logic? In the criteria, we have defined source as this. That means the client request that we are checking is this. Okay. But, but the criteria is this. Okay. But what is non-matching logic? Non-matching logic means any IP other than the IP address of this particular range. Okay. So any IP, let's suppose 28.1.0.0, if it is coming, then it is not matching the defined criteria. Okay. And hence it is non-matching logic. So in that case, perform a action based on the non-matching logic. You can set either one of them, whether you want to match the criteria or whether we do not want to match the criteria and take decisions based on that. So there are two options, and we can do traffic shaping as well towards the protected servers. So these are some of the things. So traffic filters, it this protection enables to manually and flexibly control at the policy level. That means these are attached to the policies, the volumes of traffic forwarded by Defense Pro using different parameters. And now, this is the network protection policy. So as you know, within the policy, we define a network, right? So within the policy, we define a network and attach protection profiles and protection modules, right? So this protection profiles could be BDOS, it could be SYN, it could be DNS, etc. Right? Similarly, we have traffic filters. Traffic filter is also a kind of a profile. And this traffic filter profile is attached to a policy or at the policy level. So now you know that traffic filter is a profile and it is attached to a policy. Within the traffic filter, we will have filter rules. Okay. Within the traffic filter profile, we have various filter rules, and I'll explain how that works. But right now, just remember that traffic filters is a profile or a protection module. It is attached to the policy. Okay. And within the traffic filter profile, there are multiple traffic rules that you can configure. So that's one thing. And traffic filter profile, within a traffic filter profile, you can have maximum of 15 traffic filter rules. Okay. You can have 15 traffic filter rules. And within a device, you can have up to 400 traffic filters. That means you can have up to 400 traffic filters. And within each traffic filter, you can have 15 traffic rules. So these are the things that you need to be aware of. Next, traffic filters are categorized into two sections, basic filters and advanced filters. So these filters are used to classify the incoming traffic based on which we will be taking the decisions. So these are categorized into two parts, basic filters and advanced filters. Basic filters are these, okay, till here. So these are your basic filters, wherein we have source and destination network, source and destination ports, packet size, protocol, TCP flag distribution, packets per second, etc. The advanced filters are these, okay, time to live, VLAN, okay, fragment offset, TCP sequence number. This is related to quality of service. Okay, then fragmented ID. You can use regular expression. Okay, so all these are advanced filters. So we have two things, two filter types, basic filters and advanced filters, and they are categorized as shown in the list here. So all the blue ones are your traffic filters, basic traffic filters, and all the red ones are the advanced filters. Let's see how it works. So first of all, you need to go to traffic filter profile. Okay. First of all, create a traffic filter profile. So here we have given a name. So this is the traffic filter profile. This is the action that we are taking, which is to block and report. Okay. So first of all, we give a traffic filter name, which is TF2. Then we set the profile action. If we click on this, we are basically creating traffic filter rules. Okay. So here we are basically configuring traffic filter rules. So this is the first rule. As from the previous slide, we can have up to 15 traffic filter rules. So here we have just configured one at the moment. Okay. So this is a traffic filter rule. This is a traffic filter ID. This is the traffic filter name. Okay. Traffic filter rule name. Okay. We are applying traffic to the matching traffic. Okay. So we are applying traffic to the matching traffic. Here we can have two options. Either we can apply traffic filter to matching traffic, or we can apply traffic filter to a non-matching traffic. Okay. So these are the two options available. But right now we have selected that we will be applying traffic filter to the matching traffic. And what should be the matching traffic? It is defined under this section. So it is defined under this particular section. Okay, basic filter criteria. So what should be the incoming traffic, okay, based on which we will be creating a traffic. Hello, Dio? Hello?
Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to highlight something. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries, no worries. Yeah, thank you. If you have any questions, you can interrupt me, okay? That's not an issue. Sure.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm not able to erase it now, but anyways, just leave it as that. Yeah. So traffic filter profile. So we are creating a traffic filter rules. So we have created this filter rule name. Okay. A filter ID is this. Now here, the filter mode, the apply traffic filter is attached to the matching traffic. Now, what is the matching traffic or what is the criteria that we are looking for in an incoming packet? So this is what we define under the basic filter criteria, which is mentioned here. So the packet should come from this source. Okay. So it should come from this source. It should have the source port as this. It should be going towards this destination port, destination IP, sorry, or the destination network. And it should have the destination port listed this and protocol should be this. So this is the criteria. Okay. Now, if the incoming request from the client is matching this criteria, if it is matching these criteria, in that case, we will be applying the traffic filter action, which is to block and report on the matching logic. So what is matching traffic? Okay. Any traffic which meets this criteria, which meets all this criteria. Okay. So I'll just erase it down to make it better. So yeah. So any client traffic, okay, which is matching this part, okay, or matching this criteria, we will be applying the traffic filter. Okay, we'll be applying the traffic filter to that matching traffic. And what is the action? Is to block and report. Okay. And we don't directly block it. We wait for a certain threshold. I'll explain how that works. But right now, just make sure that you understand this thing. Okay. So if the client traffic comes in and if it is matching the criteria which is set here, okay, we will take the action or we will apply the traffic filter to the matching traffic and the action is to block and report. Okay. Now, let me just explain what is the criteria here. So as you can see, the criteria, the source network is defined as in policy. So if you remember when we configured policy, we were defining the network, right? We were defining the network. So if you see something like this as in policy, it means that whatever you have configured within the policy, those details would be filled up here. And hence it is showing as in policy. You can define other things as well. Okay. So you can define a certain source network, define a certain destination. Source port could be different, destination port could be different, even the protocol could be different. So it depends on you what you need to filter out, okay, or which traffic you need to classify. And based on that, the traffic filter will take the decision. So that's up till criteria. Then we have filter action, which is setting the threshold levels. If here it is set to 1,000 packets per second. So the filter action here is 1,000 packets per second. So let's see how it works. So here, this is the incoming traffic which is coming in to the Defense Pro. Defense Pro checks the first filter. Okay. It checks the first filter. It checks whether this criteria is meeting. Okay. It checks whether the criteria is meeting. If that criteria is met, if that criteria is met. So let's suppose we are receiving a large number of packets. Okay. Each packet would be checked against the filters. If that packet which is coming to the Defense Pro is matching this criteria, okay, if it is matching this criteria, we will be adding the packet to the threshold. Like, let's suppose if the first packet comes in, if it is matching the criteria, we will add the packet to the threshold. Now the number of packets is one, which is matching. Now let's suppose a second packet comes in. Again, it is checked against the criteria. If it is matching, then now the count is increased to two. Okay. Similarly, multiple packets come into the Defense Pro and we are just checking the criteria. If this particular count which we are seeing, it goes above 1,000. Now, if it goes above 1,000, okay, if it goes above the 1,000 mark, which is set the threshold, then we will perform the action, which is to block and report. Okay. So if the number of packets that are matching the defined criteria and the threshold is breached, Then we will perform the action, which is to block and report that particular event. Now, another scenario. Now, if the packets are coming, we are checking for the criteria. Okay. If it is not matching, then we will simply move on to the next rule, which is rule number 2. It might have a completely different criteria and a completely different threshold. Then rest of the things is executed in the same order as we saw for filter number 1. Okay. So what we are saying, so when the incoming packet comes in, okay, let's suppose the first packet comes in, we will be checking the rule number 1. We will checking the criteria. If the packet which is incoming is matching the criteria, we will add it to the counter. Okay. And we will check whether the threshold is breached. Right now, there is only one packet received. Okay. And hence we are not passing the threshold. Let's suppose at the next instant, we receive a large number of packets. Okay. And if all those packets are meeting the criteria and even the threshold is breached, okay, if the threshold is breached, then we will block the particular number of packets per second. Similarly, if the packets are incoming and if it is not matching the criteria, we simply ignore the first rule and we go directly to the second rule, because as you know, we can configure up to 15 traffic filters rule within a traffic filter profile. So within a traffic filter profile, you can have up to 15 traffic filter rules. So this is how you basically configure these things. Few important things as well. So here, this part, if you see, okay, this part which you see are your basic filters, if you know. So here we have destination port, okay, packet size, okay, bandwidth, destination IP. So all these parameters which you see for the first three filters are your basic filter criteria, right? So those are basic filter criteria. And this one, since it is using regular expression, it is your advanced filter criteria. Okay, so that is your advanced filter criteria. If we go back, okay, as you can see, regular expression is part of advanced filter criteria, and rest source destination ports, source destination IPs are part of the basic criteria. The reason why we have classified is because of this particular optimization order. Okay, so the basic filters are generally uh, being processed by the DOS mitigation engine. Okay. So basic filters are processed by DOS mitigation engine, while the advanced filters are processed by DPE or the CPU. Okay. DPE or your CPU. Okay. So this this particular thing needs to be aware. Okay. So you need to be aware of this particular order, because let's suppose if the in the first rule itself you mentioned advanced filter. Okay. What this does is that it will start the processing at a DPE level, because advanced filter is done by the DPE. Now, next, if you, the next rule, if you mention, let's suppose basic filter, which is this, so destination port, packet size, and bandwidth are all basic filters. Even if these are basic filters, they will still be executed in DPE. Okay, they would still be executed in DPE, which is not something that we want. So the correct optimization order should be, initially it should be processed in DME, okay, the DOS mitigation engine, and then it should go to DPE. So this is the correct processing order, and it is faster, okay, because DOS mitigation engine can handle the basic filters very fast compared to DPE. So this should be the correct processing order. You should have all the basic filter criteria first as per the rules. Okay. So as per the rules, you should have basic filter criteria first, and then you can have advanced filter. Okay. The reason being, if we mention advanced filter on the top and then we have basic filters, this would be processed in DPE, and rest everything would also be processed in DPE. Okay. It cannot go from DPE to DME. Okay. It cannot go from DPE to DME. It always flows from DPE to DPE. So that's one thing that you need to be aware of when it comes to the correct optimization order, so that your traffic filters processes it quicker compared to having everything being processed in the CPU. So whenever you're configuring the traffic filters, make sure that you configure basic filters up at the top, and then you can process the uh, the advanced filters later so that it can be processed in CPU. So how to configure traffic filters? So this is similar to what we have seen earlier as well. So you need to enable the traffic filter first of all, set the action to block and report, select add new, give a filter name. So you can give a filter name here, apply traffic filter logic to either matching logic or non-matching logic. This is the basic filter criteria that you can configure, similar to what we saw previously as well. So the earlier page that we saw was on the Defense Pro. This is on the Cyber Controller Policy Editor. The source network is as per policy, destination network as in policy, protocol, destination port, source port, and this is protocol number, packet size in bytes. So these are all your basic filter criteria. And then we have advanced filter criteria as well. Okay. And this is where under the filter action, this is where you specify the counter or the threshold. If that threshold is breached, then we'll basically be dropping the packet or blocking the packets. Okay, so this is your traffic filter. How you can see that whether it is a traffic filter or the traffic filter profile is getting active. You can see it under the detection events that the traffic filter has been kicked in. Okay, you can find this option. You can see that the attack is currently ongoing. That means the attack has started. It is ongoing. The attack is still in process. We have not terminated the attack as of now. Okay. It is not completely out of the system. So all those things you can see here. The category is defined as traffic filters. Okay, that means traffic filter policy is currently active. Okay. So these are the things. So event destination. So this is the targeted server. This is the DP and this is the policy name that has been triggered. So under this policy, we will have a traffic filter profile. If you click on the magnifying glass, you will find these details as well. Okay. So again, it's the same as previously, which you can saw it is coming on physical port 1. So the attack is coming on physical port 1. The action is to drop the incoming traffic. So this is applied on the incoming traffic. These things. And here you can also see other details like where the attacks are coming from, and it is going to the target server, which is 27.1.31.100. And this again, if you click on attack analytics, you will find all these details related to the attack, that from which source IP addresses are coming from, or what each IP address within that range of IPs, how many volume of traffic that individual IP address is generating towards your destination. Okay. So all those things can be graphically represented. And this is the targeted server. And these are all your source ports, TCP flags, destination ports, protocols, source countries. So uh, I mean, all the major protocols and port numbers where the attack is coming from. Okay, from which source port it is coming, to which destination port it is going. So all those things can be visible on the cyber controller. Next, we have application flood protection using basic filters. So we'll be checking out some use cases when it comes to uh, the, the traffic filters. So let's have a look. So here you can
Uh,
protect. Yes,
Rohit, I have a question for you.
yes, go on.
When using traffic filters, for example, imagine a DNS server, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we apply this filter on the DNS server. DNS server try to uh, query some of the public resolver, for example, 1111, to send the DNS packet uh, these servers, and Defense Pro cannot work stateful mode, and we don't know return traffic comes to originating to our firewalls or DNS servers.
Mm.
When we use the traffic filter, uh, in this time, return traffic should be blocked, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh, how we can apply this traffic filter
See,
on the
traffic
stateful
filters
or
is, yeah.
our server
Okay.
network?
So traffic filters is generally applied on the input, but if you enroll into the level 2 course, there is a separate slide altogether where we can enable the traffic filters at the on the response traffic as well. Okay. So we will be checking both the scenarios. Okay, we will be tracking the responses as well, and post that we'll be applying the traffic filters. So there is one option in the traffic filters. We'll be tracking both the source and the destination. Okay. So it is part of Defense Pro Level 2 training. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
sure. So protection from HTTP flood using basic filters. So yeah, we'll be basically defining a traffic filter rule in order to stop HTTP flooding kind of an attack. Okay. So here the threshold is set to 800 packets per second. If that packet threshold is breached, okay, if the number of incoming packets goes above 800 packets per second, okay, then we'll be start dropping the packets altogether. So this is again using basic filters. You can work with different protocols, not just limited to HTTP. You can work with ICMP, so it can help you mitigate ICMP flooding attacks. Okay. Similarly, NTP flooding attacks, and so on. So it is not just limited to a single protocol. You can work with different protocols. The tracking mode is basically based on per source. So we can track individual IP addresses or the range of IP addresses. So it totally depends on what you're tracking. So here again, you can stop multiple flooding attacks using basic traffic filters as well. So that concludes the first part. Next, we have signature protection. So signature protection is used to protect against known vulnerabilities. Okay. The signature protection profile is a function or feature of Defense Pro which protects your servers against known vulnerabilities. Okay. So Radware, here we are generating signatures to protect against these vulnerabilities, and they are provided to you weekly basis if you subscribe to the signature update service. So this is provided to you at a weekly basis. So the signature protection should be scheduled. Okay. So if you have taken the lab one, okay, there you might have already scheduled the task of signature protection. Okay. So when you do that, you will be getting signature updates, and those updates are automatically installed into the Defense Pro, and your Defense Pro is now able to protect you against known vulnerabilities. But there are certain things that you need to configure on the Defense Pro before the signature protection can uh, really tackle or mitigate those attacks, which I'll be explaining at a later part. So on level 1, we are basically discussing the signature which are created by Radware. Okay, you can also create your custom signatures, which is part of Defense Pro level 2 training. We are not going to go into that today. Here on in this level 1 course, we are just gonna define the Radware developed signatures, and these are updated weekly and which are provided to you weekly on Mondays or whenever you schedule it. In case of an emergency update. So if we come to know about any vulnerability associated on any of the Linux server or Apache server, anything of that sort, we immediately roll out the updates if we have fixed that particular vulnerability. And those can be immediately made available to you. It enables detailed reporting as well. So suppose a attack has been mitigated by the signature-based protection, you will get a complete detailed reporting about that particular detection, that this was a Radware ID. Okay, it was part of this CVE. Okay, you can also get a CVE ID. What was the attack? What was the criticality of that attack? Okay. What was the risk factor, whether it was high, medium, low, informational, etc. So you'll get a detailed reporting with the signature-based protection, and it is more focused on data center applications. And the main idea is to mitigate all the known attacks. We are not stopping any attacks which are not known to us, we are stopping using signature protection. We are just mitigating all the known vulnerabilities and attacks. So how to configure this or how to download the signatures? You can go to tools. First of all, go to the partner portal, go to the tools part. Okay, there you will find security updates. There you will find security updates, which is this. Okay. First of all, subscribe to notifications. So this will notify you, okay, of the latest security patches that we have in store for you. Okay, so do click this, subscribe to notifications, and you'll be getting periodic notifications on the latest security updates. Once that's done, you can also download the signature files. Okay, so that is possible here. So go to security updates. You can download the latest signature files under the signatures library. You will find all the latest signature files. You can download it, and then you can also download the signature description files as well, something like this. So if you download the signature description file, it will show you what that signature does, okay, and what it is mitigating. So as you can see, it has a Radware ID, okay, the release date, okay, the file version, the risk category, okay, a status that it was approved by the Radware engineers that is mitigating this particular attack, attack description, okay, which port it is targeting, what kind of attack it is, okay, the relative CVE ID of that attack. Okay, if you want more information about that CVE, you can click here and find details related to that attack. Okay, a risk category, okay, how confidence, okay, what is the confidence level? That means if it is set to high, that means we will have very low false positives. Okay, what kind of a threat type it is? Okay, what are the services that this particular attack is targeting? So all this detail can be made available to you if you also download the attack description file. Okay, so whenever there is an attack happening, you will get all these details on your web GUI or on the cyber controller under the detection events. That is why it is important that while updating the signature files, you also update the description files as well, so that you will get all these details in one go. So the signature protection, so it is primarily dealing to protect against web server vulnerabilities or primarily with the server related vulnerabilities. Here we are not protecting, let's suppose, Windows normal OSs. We are not protecting that. We are protecting server based vulnerabilities. So any vulnerabilities associated to, let's suppose, Linux server, Apache server, or let's suppose Windows IIS server. So all those vulnerabilities associated with them, we are trying to mitigate here using signature based protection. So basic concepts. Again, this is a protection profile and it needs to be attached to a policy. So signature-based protection, here we have a protection profile. We can create multiple rules. Okay, we can create multiple signature rules and we are associating attributes. So let's suppose you downloaded a signature file. Okay, you downloaded the latest signatures. What we are saying is that let's suppose in that signatures, there are 10,000 signatures. Okay, 10,000 signatures. Now, the issue with this is that whenever a packet comes into the Defense Pro, whenever a packet comes into the Defense Pro, if we try to match that incoming packet with all the 10,000 signatures that we have, it becomes very CPU intensive for the Defense Pro to check this packet against all the signatures that we already have installed on the Defense Pro. It takes a lot of time. So instead, what we can do is that we can select what we want to match against. Okay, so we know that at our backend, the server is based on Linux. Okay, let's suppose it's based on Windows for now. So the server is based on Windows. So the operating system is Windows, right? The server name is IIS. Okay, so we know these details already. So instead of matching the incoming traffic against all the signatures, now within the signature, there might be signatures for Linux, there might be signatures for Apache, Python, etc., etc. Okay. We do not need to match the incoming packet against these servers because we know that the backend server is Windows based and the server is IIS. So we have no need to match the packet against the Linux Apache servers. So what we do is that we define attributes. So within the attributes, we basically define the parameter that we need to check the incoming packet against. So here we'll be defining that the operating system is Windows, the application is, let's suppose, IIS, okay, and the service is web server. So we define these attributes. So out of the 10,000 signatures that we have, now we might have just 500 signatures that we need to inspect the incoming traffic against. So the incoming traffic now will just have to check against these 500 parameters. And if the signature is matching, we will be simply dropping the packets. I mean, if the signature matches the attack which is coming in, then we basically drop the incoming packet. So that's why your attribute comes into play. So attribute is nothing but defining what we have at our backend, which services are we using. Okay, based on that, we will be checking the incoming packet against those signatures. So these are the things that we need to know. So here we have Apache web servers and we have Exchange servers. Okay, so we can define two different profiles altogether. What we can do is that we can create a signature rule for web servers and a separate signature profile for the Exchange servers, right? So this is how it looks like. So we have to go to configuration, protections, signature protection, profiles. Okay. Here we create signature profile rules. Here we create signature profile rules. So you need to click on the plus icon. So this is the rule that we have created and we are mentioning these values. Okay. So we are mentioning these values. So we have an attribute type and an attribute value. So attribute type, so the signature that we are trying to match should be of high risk category. So if any signature with the high risk category is present, then match the incoming traffic against those signatures. Okay. If those are matching, then drop the traffic. Similarly, complexity should be low, confidence should be high. That means Radware approves that this will have low false positives. Okay. The complexity is low. That means the CPU is less consumed. Yes, all those details like the threat type should be categorized as worms and DOS floods. If it is matching all this criteria, then drop the packet. Okay. So let's suppose we started off with 10,000. Okay. Then out of this 10,000 signatures, let's suppose 1,000 signatures were of risk category high. Out of those 1,000, okay, the complexity low was 500, okay, then 300, 200, 100. So finally we reach that 100. So all of these, if they are present, okay, if all of these are matching, then we need to check the amount that is left right now. So there are 100 signatures, okay, that are matching all these factors. So there are 100 signatures. Okay. So whenever the incoming packet comes, that incoming packet is checked against these 100 signatures. And if they are matching, then we will simply be dropping the packet because we consider that as an attack or basically a vulnerability. Okay. So we can define here multiple things. So we can define multiple things under the attribute type, which is defined in the next slide. So there are multiple things that we can define. So we can define which applications do we need to check against. Okay, it is Apache, IIS, Exchange Mail Server, Web Server. Can define a threat type, whether it is an intrusion, worms, anomalies, floods, etc. So I hope you get the idea what we are trying to say here. So we can define all these things. Importantly, the last three attribute types, you can select only one value. Okay. All the above, I mean, for these, until the sixth point, you can have multiple applications, like you can have Apache as well as IIS. Okay. But when it comes to these three, you can only select one value. Okay. You cannot have multiple values within, let's suppose, risk category. We cannot select medium as well as high. You can select only one option. Similarly, for complexity, you can select only one value among low and high. You cannot select both the options. Only for the last three categories. For rest of them, you can always have multiple values. Then we have the rules. So here we are using an AND function. That means we are checking these values. Okay. Everything should match. Okay. Everything should match. in order for the signature to be categorized. And between the rules, if you have multiple rules, first this rule is checked and then this rule will be checked. Okay. In order for the attack to go through. Signatures, we are defining the signatures or classifying the signatures into two parts. Okay, one is the DOS shield signatures, and second one is your application security signatures. So the difference between these are the DOS shield signatures are used to protect against volumetric kind of attacks. Okay, volumetric attacks. Okay, and the application security, here we are performing packet by packet inspection. Here we are performing packet by packet inspection. And here we are performing sampling. Okay. So here we are performing sampling. So within DOS Shield, okay, with DOS Shield, we are primarily supporting or basically mitigating all DOS kind of attacks. Okay, all DOS floods, those kind of vulnerabilities against a server would be blocked by signature-based protection with the help of DOS Shield. Okay, we are using a sampling method. We are not doing packet by packet inspection. So let's suppose a DOS Shield signature is evaluated. Let's suppose this is sending 500 packets. Okay. We will not be inspecting every 500 packet, but we would be sampling. Like out of this 500 packets, we will be just checking one packet. Okay. The next 500 packet comes, we again inspect one packet. The next series of 500 packets come, we will again inspect one packet. Okay. So we'll be just checking one packet among the list of packets, and then we will be again recomputing. Okay. Again, we will be recomputing. Let's suppose out of this three packets that we have received, okay, how many are faulty or how many of them are matching? Okay. And then we recompute. Like let's suppose uh if the three packets are matching amongst let's suppose 1500 packets that we have received, okay, then within 5 seconds or 10 seconds, how many actual packets there could be? Because we are checking only one packet, okay, out of 500, right? But let's suppose in actual scenario, if we inspect all the 500 packets, then what could be the number of match packets? Okay, so that is done by sampling. So here we are not doing packet by packet inspection. We will just be doing sampling. So DOS Shield helps with that. More on this would be covered on again Defense Pro level 2 training, where we dive deep into how the DOS Shield works. Okay. Under the application security, we are inspecting packet by packet. So every 500 packet, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, till 500, every packet would be inspected by this particular signatures. Okay. And it is done. Okay. Now this is not protecting against volumetric kind of attacks. It is protecting the services that could be impacted even with a single packet. Okay. If even if a single packet if goes to the server and if it can affect the particular server, in that case we will be deploying application security signatures. A few recommendations when it comes to signature protection profiles. It is recommended that you enable DOS all. Okay, so these are predefined rules which are already present in the signature protection profile. So it is recommended that you have DOS all rule always within your signature protection, because this will be helping you mitigate volumetric flooding attacks against a particular server. So this is recommended to have. Other than that, you can also check out the other predefined signature rules which are present. Like if you're running an e-commerce application, okay, you can select this e-commerce one. If you're an MSSP, then run this. So it has all the attributes and values already predefined that you can use. Okay, you do not have to start assigning the attribute types and values from the scratch. It would already be present, which are predefined rules. But recommended one is to use the DOS all along with the other signatures that you want to use. Let's suppose if you want to make use of carrier, okay, then certainly use that. But along with that, also add the DOS all rule so that you're protected against volumetric flooding attacks. So signature protection, again, go to the policy, uh, enable the security signatures, and then just create a profile for that. So this is what I was talking about. So if you are protecting DNS server, or let's suppose if you have a DNS server in the background, okay, or at the backend, you will create a rule for DNS server, okay, mentioning services as DNS. Along with that, you will also incorporate this rule, which is DOS-all, which is protecting you against flooding attacks, slow rate kind of attacks, and DOS related vulnerabilities. Okay. So it is recommended that you have this particular rule to every custom profile. The custom profile is a DNS profile. Along with that, we have just added the DOS-all rule. This is how you can create the signature on the policy editor. So here we have created two rules, DNS and DOS-all. Okay, DNS and DOS-all. So these are the DOS-all ones. Sorry, these are the DOS-all ones till here, and these are your DNS rules. Okay. You can create the rule name should be same. Okay. First of all, when you add new, the rule name should be same. Okay, it shouldn't be different. So first of all, you will add DOS all rule. Okay, then define a threat type. It is protecting this vulnerability. Then again add a rule. Okay, threat type DOS. You add this DOS all threat type. Now DOS floods. Similarly, when you configure DNS, select the rule name DNS. Select the attribute type services. Network services DNS. The risk should be medium. Platform should be Linux. Confidence is high. So if the any of the packet which is coming in is matching these criteria, then we will be dropping the packet against that particular signature. Only if that signature is matching. Otherwise, we will allow the traffic to pass through. These are user-defined signatures. Okay. User-defined signatures you can also create, but more on this would be covered on the level 2 training. We are not covering it under level 1. So let's suppose if you are aware of certain vulnerability, like let's suppose if the client sends a request and within that request there is certain text, okay, which can impact the or bring down the server at the backend. Okay. And if you already know of that vulnerability, you can create your own custom signature mentioning that if the incoming request has this particular text, then drop that particular traffic right away. Do not allow it to pass through to the backend. So you can create your own custom signatures as well, which we will cover on Defense Pro level 2 training. We are not covering this on level 1. But just for your overview, we have this functionality as well. So this is how we basically define the signature profiles. These are your custom profiles of which you have created. Okay. For defense from monitoring, if you are under attack and if it is detected by signature protection, it will show you DOS shield. Okay. It will show you DOS shield or the application security signatures of which it is being detected by. So if it is detected by signature protection, you will find these information and it would be under attack. And if you have downloaded the attack description file as well, then along with the signature matching, if you scroll to this, if you move your pointer to this icon, you will also find the attack description as well. Okay. So if you have the attack description file downloaded, along with the detection, you will find this information as well, that what was the attack, okay, how it was happening, which type of platforms it is targeting again. So all this information you will be readily be available for you to visualize. This is again related to application security signatures. If it is detected by application security signatures, the category would be intrusions. Okay. And the action type is to drop the traffic. One more thing, if you want to learn more on the cybersecurity related parameters or cybersecurity terminologies, there is a page on the Radware portal which is known as Cyberpedia. There you can basically click on any of the terms that you want to know. You can just click on, let's suppose, API attack, and the relative information related to the API attack would be made available to you, which you can read and understand it better. So, so we have multiple resources available on the Radware portal as well, which you can certainly make use of. So with that, we conclude the signature-based protection. So let's have a 15 minutes break and then we can continue with the rest of the slides for today. So let's resume. So the next topic is Defense Pro Access Control. So you will be defining the Defense Pro access control feature and how it works. So it basically is your traditional block and allow list that we are going to check here. So that's your access control. So we'll simply put the IP addresses or the clients which we want to block directly in the block list, or if you want to allow a certain IP addresses to go to the backend, then we'll be simply allowing them and putting the IP addresses and ranges in the allow list. Allow list basically means bypassing the network. Okay. So if you're putting any IP address in the allow list, the if the traffic is originating from that particular IP address, okay, Defense Pro will not inspect against any protection modules. It will be simply bypassing the traffic directly to the backend server. So it will be simply being allowed to continue to the backend servers. The traffic in this case would not be inspected by the IP addresses which are allowed. So how to configure this? So we have to go to the settings option. We have to go to configuration, okay, access control, block list and allow list. We have two things here, block list and allow list. You need to select either one of them, okay, and then basically specify the classification criteria based on which we need to drop the package. Okay, you can define a source network. If it is coming from that source network, then drop it. If it is coming from a particular source code, then drop it. Okay. So whatever you specify under this classification, that classification would be defined as a criteria with which the traffic would be inspected. And if that criteria is met, we will be dropping those packets. So that is your block list. So under the block list, if you're configuring block list, the action is only to drop. Okay, the action would be to drop. But if you check the allow list parameters, the action is just the bypass. That means, let's suppose if you classify the source network and let's suppose it is going to a destination, a particular destination network, you configure these two things. And if the incoming traffic matches these two criteria, okay, then we will simply be allowing the traffic to directly to the backend. We will not be inspecting this client. Okay, we will not be inspecting this client against any of the protection profiles. Okay. So they will be simply be allowed to bypass the protection profiles. Okay, so that is a allow list and block list. So relatively simple. So if it is detected by the block list, it would show under the detection events as access control list, and the event name would be block list. The same thing goes here. You can see all the details. So you can see the total packet count, etc. And the main thing is here is that the actions are different. If you select block list, the action is to drop the traffic. And if it is allow list, the action is to simply bypass the traffic to the backend server. In case of bypass, you are not inspecting the traffic. Okay, you're just, if the client comes from that IP range, which is part of the allow list, you will simply be passing the server or the request directly to the backend server. Next topic is related to geolocation and ERT active attacker speed databases. So here we are going to look at the geolocation maze mitigation. So here the mitigation is based on the country location. So if any traffic is originating from a certain location, we can certainly block them using the geolocation feature. Okay. Now this is country-based attack detection, and we are mitigating based on the third-party GeoIP location provider. Okay, so we get the IP addresses related information from a third-party GeoIP location provider, so we can track the IP location in near real time. If the information, if the traffic is originated from that particular country, we will be simply be dropping them or allowing them based on how we have configured the geolocation feeds, which is discussed here. So in order to enable this functionality, you need to go to settings, protections, geolocation profiles. Here you have to first of all give a profile name. So let's suppose location. location blocking, let's suppose. Okay. Here you can specify the action. You can either use it in block mode or allow mode, depending on what you select here. If you select block selected location, okay, then all the countries within the selected geographies would be blocked by the geolocation service. Now let's take an example. Let's suppose if you want to block Afghanistan, or any traffic originating from Afghanistan, we will just simply select this, click on this tab, and now it will be under the selected option. So now you can select the action as well, report only and block and report. Ideally, we'll be having block and report. So in this case, if this is the configuration that you have done, this means that whenever any traffic originates from Afghanistan, okay, we will simply be blocking that particular traffic right away. Okay, so this is your geolocation database or geolocation based mitigation. Now let's suppose instead of this, we configure this one, which is allow only selected geolocation. Then in that case, let's suppose I selected Andorra. In this case, the selected geography is Andorra. In this case, only the traffic originating from Andorra would be allowed to pass. Okay, rest every other country would be blocked. So it is as simple as block list and allow list, but from a geolocation point of view. So this is how you basically enable this functionality. Again, if you are under attack and if the attack is coming from a certain country which you have blocked, then you will get the category as geo feed and the event name would be geolocation permanent. Now, Cyber Controller will always download the GeoIP file and show geolocation data in the analytics dashboard, regardless of the license that you have. So, in order to have the geolocation service, you need at least silver protection, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so at least need that silver protection subscription. But even if you do not have the license, Cyber Controller will always download the GeoIP file from the third-party database and show the geolocation data in analytics dashboard, regardless of the license. So even if you do not have the geolocation service, you still have the top attack sources based on the country and top attack destinations. Okay, so we'll get these details readily available on the Cyber Controller. So Radware location-based mitigation. So it gives you visually, you can detect it quickly. So as you can already seen in the detection events, you are immediately getting notified that there is a attack coming from a certain location. You can also visualize the same on the dashboards as well. You can receive alerts on the top attacking countries and identify geo origin of all the attacks. Like in the previous slide, we saw all the top attacking countries where the attacks are originating from, which are the top attacked countries, and all those things can be visualized on the dashboard, which you can later make use in order to customize your geolocation feeds. Then you can permanently or temporarily block an attacking country with just one click. Okay. Can any traffic originating from a certain country can simply be blocked with just a click of a button. So it's a useful tool to have in case all the attacks are originating from a certain neighboring country in that. Sorry. Next is ERT active attackers updates. So here, so ERT, Emergency Response Team, is a 24/7 dedicated team of security experts for fast mitigation under attack. So we have various categories under ERT. Okay, so these are a group of security experts which handle different fields. So the threat researchers would be basically looking into new threats that are out there in the market. Okay, they will do the research, how to tackle them, and then create signatures, etc. So they're dealing with that aspect. Analysts and experts will be looking at upcoming threats and vulnerabilities, okay, or analyze the existing vulnerabilities, how we can improve the solutions. Technical account managers is your interface to the customers. Okay, so they reach out to the customers, understand their requirements, and accordingly suggest the appropriate solution that can protect them. So we have multiple sectors under the emergency response team, and they are working in coordination with the customers in order to give the best solution possible. So coming to ERT active attackers feed. So ERT active attacker speed, I guess I've already discussed on day one, but I'll repeat it once more. So ERT active attacker speed, this is the database of the malicious attackers' IP addresses. So we have multiple deception agents deployed worldwide. Okay, so we have multiple deception agents worldwide, and the attackers think that these are legitimate servers that we can attack. So these malicious attackers attack these honeypot deception agents, and what we do is that we check what are the attacks that are coming to this deception agents. Will try to get the details like what are the IP addresses, what kind of attack it was, how long it lasted, okay, which protocol the attacker was using, okay. All these details can be gathered, collected, analyzed, okay, via AI models. We can come to know that what are the attacks that are happening globally, okay. And we basically tag the IP addresses as malicious attackers after doing a research, okay. After doing certain research, we can identify that these IP addresses are the malicious actors, okay. And we are collecting this information from multiple sources, okay. It is not just the honeypot deception agents, even our customers, okay, who are sending the or diverting the traffic to our cloud scrubbing center. Even there, whatever the attack is happening, we can detect them, and we can find out who are the malicious actors, what are their IP addresses, etc. So all these details of the IP addresses would be put into a database, okay, and this database is provided to you if you're subscribed to ERT Active Attacker Speed. So in future, if any attack is originated from these IP addresses, okay, we would be simply dropping the traffic at the perimeter itself. You do not have to worry about anything because those IP addresses are already tagged as malicious, and any attack originating from them are getting dropped. Okay. And this is what is shown here as well. So we are collecting the data of the malicious attackers from multiple sources like WAF, DDoS protection, our cloud service providers, etc. So we collect this information and provide this feed to you. It can be incorporated into the Defense Pro. And if any attack originating to the Defense Pro would be mitigated by the Defense Pro right away. So in order to enable this, you just need to click on the ERT Active Attackers feed and simply enable the functionality. Uh, this is the overview. So if you go to AMS Analytics, ERT Active Attackers Feed dashboard, you will find all this information where you can see the top attacking geolocations, what are the top malicious IP addresses which are listed. Okay. This you will be able to see if you are subscribed to the ERT Active Attackers feed. You will get all this information related, like what are the kind of attacks, okay, where it is originating from, and what are the top malicious IP addresses which are targeting. All those things can be visualized. We also have a live threat map as well. Okay, so this is also available on the portal. So here you can simply check that what are the attacks that are happening globally. Okay, so this is the statistics which is shown for the last 1 hour. The top attackers you can see. Okay, the top attacked countries, you'll be able to see what are the top network attack vectors. Like currently, the TCP flooding attacks is what is happening globally or what we are observing. The top application violations, so the SQL injection kind of an attack. So all the attack types, where it is originating from, what are the traffics that we are getting, so what are the top scanned TCP ports. So this is a relative information. If you want to check it out, you can go to the Radware website and just type in Radware live threat map and you'll be able to see this detail. Okay. So that was it about the geolocation feed. Next we have connection limit. So this is another feature that we have when it comes to Defense Pro, connection limit profiles. Now, this is used to limit the number of TCP connections or UDP sessions open for traffic. Okay. So here we are simply limiting the number of TCP connections or the UDP sessions. Now, this shouldn't be used as the first mitigation action. Only if the other protection modules are not able to mitigate the attacks, then as a last resort, you can use this. Okay. As a last resort, you can simply use the connection limit profiles if other protection modules are not working properly or they are unable to block something. Do not use this connection limit profile as your main profile. Okay, avoid using this. Okay, because it would be dropping all the packets above a certain range. So you don't want to do that because legitimate traffic, if they are blocked, that is not a good sign. So make sure that you uh, have this profile configured only if the other protection modules are not working properly or not detecting the attacks. So connection limit protection, it protects you against half open SYN attacks, request attacks, and full connection kind of attacks. So configuration. So you need to go to the Defense Pro profile, select the connection limit parameter. So here we have few things. You can specify the threshold above which you want to do the rate limit. So this is the threshold value. Okay, so this is the threshold value that you will be specifying. Above the threshold value, okay, if we are getting a large number of packets above the threshold, then the action is to drop that particular packet. And this can be configured here under the connection limit profiles. And this should be attached to a policy. Again, the connection limit profile should be attached to a protection policy. Okay. The same thing can be configured on the policy editor as well. Do the connection limit. Okay. This is where you set the threshold, the protocol, and the action is to drop the packet. If it goes above 10 connections per second, okay, if it goes above 10 connections per second, then simply drop the or simply start dropping the packet. This is not recommended to be configured as your default profile. Okay. Next, we have connection limit protection. So here we have two types. First of all, connections per second and concurrent connections. You can select either one of the options, whichever you feel is the right one. So you can do connections per second, or you can have concurrent connections as well. So select either one of them. Specify the protocol, the tracking type. So the incoming request, how you're tracking, whether you're tracking the source only or whether you're tracking the destination only. Okay, or the traffic directed to a particular destination, or we're counting both, like it is coming from this source and going to a particular destination. So all those things can be taken into account in order to classify the traffic, based on which we will be taking the action, which is to drop. Or you can also set to report only, which is not recommended. You can click on the drop. Okay, next is suspend action. So you can also suspend the clients and put them into the suspend table. So if the threshold is breached, you can drop the packets. More than that, you can also put the client IP address into the suspend table. So that particular IP address would be part of the suspend table for the next 10 minutes or so, and then you can again come back. So you can put that client in the suspend table so that it remains in that table for a particular duration of time. So this is where you can configure all those things under the connection PPS, where you will define the threshold level. And if this threshold is breached, you will start blocking the packets. Some recommended settings. This should be the recommended one. The source should be any, and the destination should be protected network. Okay, the network that you are protecting, so that should be the destination. Do not use destination network as any, because it will lead to some complications. And hence make sure that the destination is selected as protected network, the one which you have defined in the policy. Just what is mentioned here as well. Now you can configure these policies containing connection limit profiles with direction set to one way or two way. You can assign the particular connection limit profile in both the directions. Okay. You can select what you want to, but make sure that it works properly. And it is a recommendation that you do not use this connection limit profile as the starting point of the mitigation action, because it would detect it first and then it will start dropping the package right away, which you do not want to happen. So if it is under attack, you will find DOS shield. Okay. Connection limit profile is identified by category DOS shield, but how you can identify that it is connection related, you can find it under the event name. So the event name will show the connections per second or the concurrent connections according to what you have already specified. And these are the reports. Again, if it's related to connections per second, it will show this connections per second. Sean, yes, I can certainly do that. So no worries. You can connect and join in later as well if you possibly could, because we have just one presentation left. Okay. Uh, So can certainly look into that later. So let's take the final presentation for the day as well, okay? And then you can start with the labs. So final topic is Defense Pro basic monitoring and troubleshooting. So here we'll be having a brief look at what we have learned till now. So these are all the protection modules that we have learned till now, okay, on Defense Pro level 1. So I'll just give you a brief idea of what we have learned till now. So the first, let's start with packet anomalies. So packet anomalies, as you know, now it is enabled by default and it is put under block and report mode. Okay, so it is enabled by default. What are packet anomalies? So anything which is not complying with the RFC, those are packet anomalies and it is immediately getting dropped by the defense flow. And it is enabled by default globally. So that is the first part. Next, we learned BDOS. BDOS, there are four phases, as you know, learning, okay, detection, characterization, and mitigation. So these are the four phases under which BDOS works. So under the learning phase, we had rate and rate invariant part. Okay. Detection phase, as you all know, we will be defense flow will be continuously trying to analyze whether an attack has started or not. If an attack has started, the BDOS moves into the characterization phase, wherein we create a real-time signature, and then we go to mitigation phase, where the real-time signature is attached to the attack traffic. So that was a BDOS used to stop or mitigate volumetric kind of attacks. Basically, your flooding kind of attacks like SYN flood, TCP flood, ICMP flood, UDP floods, etc. So BDOS would be used to mitigate uh, your volumetric kind of flooding attacks or the DDoS attacks. You can also tune the graphs as we had seen. So initial part is to configure the bandwidth properly. Okay. Configure the bandwidth based on which the baselines would be created. And if these baselines are not proper, and if the legitimate traffic is above the normal suspect or attack edge, then you need to fine tune the settings which we had learned during the BDOS feature. So that was covered under BDOS. Then we took DNS protection. So DNS protection is used to protect your DNS servers. In that we saw four things, which is your allow list. Okay. Then there was BDOS, a name server challenge, and again rate limit. So these are the four things that we learned under DNS protection. Allow list, basically using AI or manual upload, we were creating an allow list and we were classifying the incoming domain name as legitimate or illegitimate request. The fake requests were basically blocked by the DNS and only the requests which were seemingly legitimate were allowed to go to the backend DNS server. Next, we had BDOS, which was used to stop uh, query flooding attacks. So let's suppose those are legitimate requests, but we are getting a lot of legitimate requests towards a particular server, which is basically flooding attacks. In that case, how to mitigate them? So BDOS under the DNS protection kicks in and it will start blocking those packets. Then we have name server challenge. So this was a challenge response kind of a mechanism. It is only applicable to protect authoritative name servers, wherein if the domain name request is coming to the Defense Pro provides a challenge to the client. Okay, only if the client responds with the appropriate response, then we will allow the client to communicate with the backend name server. So that was your name server challenge. Okay, only applicable for authoritative name servers. Then we had rate limit, wherein we were rate limiting a particular client to open only a limited amount of connections to a particular domain name. So that is your connection rate limit based on DNS. These things would be covered on the level 2. Okay. So these things would be covered on DPX level 2. This we just covered a few presentations back, geolocation protection, wherein we were blocking or allowing a traffic originating from a certain country. Okay, so we had covered this. We have covered this. Again, this is covered on level 2. This is also covered on level 2. SYN flood protection we had covered in this particular level 1. So again, it is rate based. Okay, that means we specify a certain threshold. Uh, there were two threshold levels, activation threshold and termination threshold. Activation threshold was set to 2,500 if you remember, and termination threshold was set to 1,500. Okay. Now, if the number of SYN packets that you are receiving goes above the activation threshold, in that case, we will start challenging the clients. We will send them challenges, right? We will send out a challenge, which is basically, can someone let me know what are the challenges that we used in order to mitigate the SYN flooding attacks? There were two challenges, if you remember.
Yeah, there was one where we send a cookie to the client. It's an encrypted cookie. And
Yes,
if
correct.
he replies with the cookie, we know that he is a real client.
Perfect.
And the second one, I can't remember it. Sorry.
Okay,
TCP reset.
yeah, so there were these things. So I'll just let you know. So it was transparent proxy, right? So we had transparent proxy, which you rightly mentioned. We are sending out a cookie, and if we receive a cookie and response, we will be authenticating that particular client for the next 20 minutes. And the second option was safe reset, wherein when a SYN request was sent, okay, in response, we will be sending a bad ACK packet. Okay. The next procedure that the client should do was to reset the connection, and hence it is known as safe reset. So he will send a reset, okay, and then again try to open a SYN connection or reconnect with the SYN connection. So that was a safe reset. And this was part of the authentication method or challenging the client based on these two methods, transparent proxy and safe reset. This was on layer 3, layer 4. On layer 7, we also had two authentication methods, okay, which is this 302 redirect and JavaScript. Okay. So these are on layer 7 authentication. So that we had also covered. Next, we had out of state. So if the first packet that we are receiving is not a SYN packet, then those packets are known as out of state packets. Okay. This also was rate based. This also was rate based, where we defined a threshold level. Okay, that means we are okay with receiving 2,500 out of state packets. But if we receive more than that, in that case, we are not challenging them. We are simply dropping those out of state packets. Okay, so that was our out of state protection. Then we had traffic filters, which we just saw today. So traffic filters, it gives you more granularity. It can basically, you can identify and classify the clients based on a certain criteria. And if that criteria is met, then you can take the action, provided you define whether the action needs to be taken on the matching logic or on the non-matching logic. And post that, you can certainly drop the traffic. So you had traffic filters, then you had connection limits. This should be used as a last resort, as I am repeating many times. So if the other things are not working properly and if the attack is huge, then certainly make use of connection limit, but otherwise don't, because the other protections can certainly handle those traffic. Next, we have block and allow list. This also we covered today, wherein we are specifying the IP address that we need to block, or there are multiple classification, not just the IP address. It could be source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port, VLANs, etc. There are multiple things that can be taken in order to classify the traffic. And based on that, we will decide if that criteria is met, whether to block that particular traffic or allow that particular traffic. Now, this is not attached to a policy. Okay. For any traffic, this is valid. Even if the traffic is not an attack traffic, okay. Even in that case, you will be applying the block and allow list depending on the incoming traffic. Okay. What is block list? If the criteria is met, then we will be simply dropping that particular traffic. And what is allow list? Allow list means if the criteria of the incoming packet is met, then bypass all the protection modules. Then bypass all the protection modules. That means if the incoming packet is coming in, okay, the defense pro will not inspect that packet. It will allow that packet to go directly to the backend server. Next, we have ERT, active attacker speed. This is a list of all the malicious actors. Okay. So we will provide you a database of all the malicious actors IP. And if in future an attack is launched by any of the IP addresses which is part of this list, those attacks would be immediately be mitigated by the Defense Pro. So all these topics we have learned till now. The rest, which is marked as asterisk, would be covered on Defense Pro Level 2 training. So these are some of the packet-based and session-based protections that you can see. Let's look at the troubleshooting now. So before opening a case, okay, with the Radware team, like let's suppose if you're facing certain issue and have already tried everything, okay, and you're still not able to, let's suppose, mitigate the attack, or let's suppose you're unable to resolve it. In that case, you can certainly open a support case with Radware, but a few recommendations before you do that. Okay, so initially obtain a support file. Okay, generate a support file. Okay, do the packet captures if possible, like take the screenshots of the dashboards. Okay, collect some basic information related to the Defense Pro device, like what is the current software version, okay, what is the CPU and memory utilization at the moment. Create some packet captures, like you can create a packet capture and that can be stored and it can be submitted via the support case. Okay. Create a forensic report, create a normal report, uh, whatever troubleshooting that you have done, describe that to us. So it makes the life of engineers comparatively easier because they do not have to start the troubleshooting from the scratch. They have some base from where they can start the troubleshooting. So collect this information and provide this information as much as possible so that we can assist you in a quicker fashion. So these are some of the guidelines before opening a support case. Now, one more thing. So, how to check whether the Defense Pro is the cause of the problem? So, let's suppose we have Defense Pro sitting in between, okay, between the client and the backend server. So, Defense Pro sits in between. So, how to identify whether the Defense Pro is causing a certain problem? Okay, so what we can do is that, so I'll just draw to explain it better. So, let's suppose we have all the clients here. Okay, then we have the Defense Pro sitting in between, and then we have a backend server. So all the client requests are flowing in this fashion. Okay, and this traffic is not going through. Okay, or there is some issue in between, and you need to identify whether the Defense Pro is causing the problem, which is sitting in between the client and the server. So what you can do is that change the operation mode of the Defense Pro. So go here to set up networking port pairs. Now this could be the source port and destination port. So what you can do is change the operation mode from processing to forward. If the operation mode is set to processing mode, that means we are inspecting the traffic. Okay, we will be inspecting the traffic and we will be dropping the packet if the protection module thinks that it is an attack. Okay, so that is your processing operation mode. Forward mode basically means that the Defense Pro will act as a bridge. That means it is as good as a direct connection from the client to the server. Okay. So what we can do in order to check whether Defense Pro is causing the problem is that set the operation mode to forward. Okay. That means we are establishing a direct connection between the client and the server. And then if the communication happens without any issue, then you can conclude that the Defense Pro might be the cause of the problem. So you can check this using this method. Also, one more thing. So sometimes what happens is that, let's suppose the operation mode is set to forward. Okay. You have configured it incorrectly. You have set the operation mode to forward. And if an attack happens from the client, uh, you will see that the attack is going on and the Defense Pro is not mitigating anything. The reason being the operation mode is set to forward. So make sure if you want to inspect the traffic and detect an attack and mitigate it, then the operation mode should be set to process mode. So do this as a troubleshooting method as well. Then we have issue with packet anomalies. So packet anomalies, as you know, it protects you against RFC violations. So these are all the packet anomalies. So let's suppose if a packet anomaly is incorrectly blocking a certain traffic, okay, is incorrectly blocking a certain traffic, and you want to make sure that that traffic is allowed to pass through, and you do not want the packet anomaly to block that particular traffic. In that case, you can simply select the packet anomaly. Okay, in this case, this one. Okay, then simply change the action and simply change the action to something else. You can just bypass the action. So instead of drop, you can select to bypass. Okay, so in that case, the packet would not be dropped by the packet anomaly protection. Next is to identify whether a policy is at fault or the protection profiles are at fault. So there are two things, as we all know. So we have policy, wherein we define the network, and then we have protection, and then we have protection profiles, right? Like your DDoS, DNS, SYN flood, etc. Okay. So there could be a fault somewhere. It could be at the policy level or it could be at the protection profile level, and we need to identify. So in this case, how to identify whether the policy is at fault or the protection profile is at fault? You can perform elimination. Okay. So since the policy comes first, okay, then the protection profiles, then what you can do is that you can perform elimination. You have two approaches that you can take. You can disable policies one by one, okay, till the problem is gone. So let's suppose we have two profiles, sorry, two policies, okay. You can disable one policy, okay. And if the attack has stopped, or let's suppose if the problem is completely gone, then you can conclude that that policy which you have disabled was causing the issue. Then you can dive deep into that particular policy and check individual profiles, okay, that which profile was causing that issue. Or you can take another approach, disable both the policies and enable the policies one by one. So if you enable the policy and you still see that the problem is still there, okay, then you can conclude that that particular policy was causing that particular issue. So you can then dive deep into that particular profile within the policy and check for individual profiles. Okay. So once you identify which policy was causing the issue, so I'll just explain it once again. So there are two policies, policy one and policy two. And within that policy, we have profile one, profile two. We are also under policy two, we have profile one and profile two. Now we are facing some issue. Okay. So how we can tackle this or how to identify which policy or which profile is causing the issue. It is not working properly, let's suppose. So there are two approaches. Disable policies one by one. So we will disable both the policies, or let's suppose one by one, right? So we'll disable this policy. Okay. We see that the problem is gone now. Okay. So the problem is gone now. Okay. So now we can identify that this particular policy might be the one which was causing the issue. Okay, you can disable them one by one, or you can disable all the policies. Like suppose you disable both the policies, policy one and policy two. Okay, then you enable this policy. Okay, you enable this policy, and now this policy is still causing the issue. Okay, this policy is still causing the issue. Now you can see that this policy is causing the issue. So keep it as it is. You block it again. Okay, now you enable this one. Okay, now you see that the issue is gone. Okay, now the issue is gone. So you can certainly identify that this particular policy was the one causing the issue. Okay, now that was identified. So policy two is identified. Now within the policy, we have two profiles. So in that case, which profile was causing the issue? Again, same approach you can take is to do the elimination. Like you can disable profiles one by one or disable all profiles and enable them one by one. Like you have DDoS, you have SYN, you have DNS, the same DDoS or DNS and SYN. Okay, so you can disable one by one. Okay, check whether the issue is gone, check whether the issue is gone, check whether the issue is gone, etc. You can take the elimination format and try to identify which policy was causing the issue, and within that policy, which profile was causing the issue. And then you can basically do the respective troubleshooting relative to that particular profile. Okay. There are some CLI commands that can help you out as well. So this particular command which you see on the screen, it basically shows the information statistics on a particular port, like how many incoming packets you are receiving on a port and how many of them are we discarding, okay, and how many packets are outgoing from a second port. So all these details can be visible. If you type in reset, it will reset the counter from scratch. Now this is system last second information statistics. It gives you the last second information related to that particular port, that during the last second, how many packets are we receiving and how many outbound packets are there. And in terms of bandwidth also, you can see how those packets are relative to the amount of bandwidth that are received and outgoing. This command, a net L2 dash interface, it basically describes the layer 2 interfaces and whether they are up or not. So basically, this is from a networking point of view to check whether the Defense Pro ports whether they are administratively up and whether they are working properly. And next, we have a device static forwarding table. It basically describes whether the ports are in which operation mode, whether it is in process mode or whether it is in operation mode. If it is in process mode, it means that the Defense Pro is inspecting the traffic which is coming in and it can take decisions. Okay. But if it is in forward mode, the port acts like a bridge and it will directly forward the information to the backend servers. Next, we have system utilization CPU command, which gives you the information of the DPE engines. Okay, what is the CPU utilization of the respective CPU engines? Okay, so the DPE1, you can see that the engine utilization is 34%. DPE2, it's 38%. And you can also visualize for the last 5 seconds and for the last 1 minute, what was the average utilization of all the CPUs. The same information you can get on the cyber controller as well under the Defense Pro page. So you can go to monitoring, operational status, resource utilization, CPU utilization. There you can find this information that what was the last 5-second DPE utilization for the last 1 minute. Okay, there are 4 flow engines. So what is the relative CPU utilization for each one of them? So these details can be visible on the cyber controller as well. And next we have session table. So the session table, here we can specify certain parameters like idle session aging time. So how long a session can be idle. Okay. So here the default is 100 seconds, but you can change it. That means the session can remain idle for 100 seconds. If it is more than that, we will be simply dropping that particular session. Now, this can be modified as well. Sometimes we require the sessions to be active for a longer duration of time, such as for gaming applications. We want the session to be active for longer duration of time. In that case, you can increase the session aging time. But if you feel that it is leading to empty connection flooding kind of an attack, then simply reduce the session aging time to relatively smaller value. Then we have device session table utilization. So it basically shows you the flow engines and the maximum number of entries that are possible. And out of that, how many sessions are currently active on that particular CPU engine. So if you consider CPU engine 1, you can see the maximum number of entries there. Okay, out of those entries, only 313 session table entries are present, which is related to or which is managed by the CPU engine. Okay, so we have a lot of space still left or a lot of CPU power still left, and we can host multiple other sessions as well. So if you want to see the number of open sessions, you can find it here. Next, we have system internal DPE stats. So this is from the CPU perspective, how many packets are we forwarding and how many are we discarding. Now, this is informative. So system device info. So here you can find information related to the Defense Pro device itself, like what kind of a platform this Defense Pro is. So it is a virtual platform. That means it is software based. Okay. what is the current software version, what is the build, what is the throughput license. So if you remember from the first day, we had two parts. Uh, I mean, the legitimate throughput and the mitigation bandwidth, right? So this throughput license is your legitimate throughput. Okay, so you can identify what was being purchased. You can see the RAM size, the date, the time, okay, the current time, the uptime, which is basically for how long the defense flow has been up. So in case there was a reboot, you can certainly identify it by visualizing the uptime, the base MAC address, which is useful. Like let's suppose if you're trying to upgrade from 10.3 version to 10.5 version, which is a major upgrade, in that case, you need to generate a password. And in order to create a password, you need the MAC address. So this is where you can copy the MAC address from, and you will get all those related information. This is used to check the licenses. Okay, the system license application get will show you what license is being purchased by you. So as you can see, it is application protection license. It also shows you the details related to the expiry date of that license. It is starting from 11th May 2023 to 11th June 2024. So that is your licensing validity. You can also find system license throughput, that what is the current license that has been purchased, okay, which is 1 Gbps of legitimate throughput. The system license vCPU. Now this is for virtual platforms. So you can see the amount of virtual CPUs that are present for that particular DPX. So this is again system internal throughput. Now it enables you to see the last 4 seconds throughput license activity. Okay, you could also see whether any traffic was dropped. This command system internal peak traffic. Now this shows you the maximum amount of traffic that was received from the last reboot. Okay, from the last reboot, this was the maximum traffic that was received. It shows two categories in terms of packets per second as well as in terms of bandwidth, which is in megabits. So since the last reboot, we have received a 98765,432 number of packets per second and about 5,432 megabits per second. So that is the bandwidth since the last reboot. Okay. Now system internal DP statistics last second. So it was showing the amount of packets that was forwarded by the CPU engine, okay, during the last second, okay, of all the CPUs. So there are 18 DPEs, and out of that 18 DPEs, you can see there is no discards at the moment. Next, we have DP RTM global statistics. It basically shows you from a protocol perspective that last 15 seconds, based on the protocols, how many packets are relative to each protocol and how many of them are forwarded, how many of them are blocked, etc. Again, you can define it based on the policy level as well. So you can define the policy name, and for that policy, okay, what are the protocol statistics, how many packets are dropped for that particular policy relative to a certain protocol. Next, we have policy priority. As you know, during the settings or during the configuration of policy, we define certain priority levels as well. So the higher the priority level, the higher the precedence would be. Okay, so let's suppose if we have two policies, policy number one, and policy number two. If the policy 1 is 100 and policy 2 is 200, the value, then policy 2 would be executed first because it has a higher value compared to 100. Now, packet capture. So it is important that during diagnosis, you take packet captures as well. Okay, packet captures helps you identify the actual issue. And this packet capture can be opened in third-party applications like Wireshark as well. And even from the troubleshooting perspective, let's suppose if you are unable to troubleshoot something and there is an attack going on and you want to open a support case, then take some packet captures and share it with us so that we can identify where the attack is originating from, what is the destination, what are the protocols being used, etc., etc. It gives us a better idea to resolve the issue quicker. So some important things. So captured files are created per core, and this is the format. It is in PCAP format. Okay, it captures only the first 10,000 packets per second, and the maximum size can be 300 megabytes. So how to take the packet capture? You go to your diagnostics, packet capture. Okay, you can start the capture, and once you feel that the packet are captured, you just click on stop capture. The captured packets would be stored under the capture files. Okay. You simply click on it and it can be downloaded. So click on this, download it, and it would be stored onto your PC. And then you can open the packet capture on third-party applications like Wireshark. So packet captures are supported on these particular modules. The stored packet capture files can also be gotten from here. So whenever an attack has been detected and we are mitigating an attack, a sample of packet capture is stored. You can click on this icon. Okay. You will get this an option. You can directly open it via Shark, or you can save on your local PC and then open. If, or let's suppose we clicked open. So it will show you something like this. So this is the packet which was captured, and this is shown on the Wireshark. You can apply some filters as well, like it is coming from the source IP, going to destination IP, etc. So based on that, you can analyze. If you click on any of that particular packet, you will get all the relative information on layer 2, layer 3, layer 7, etc. So all those details can be available. Like you can see here, it is coming from this source IP going to this destination. Okay, this is the source port being used. This is the destination port being used. Okay, even at the MAC level, you can see the source MAC, destination MAC. Okay, even this part, what is the data, what is the length. So even the TCP header you can visualize. You can follow the stream as well. There are multiple things that you can do with the Wireshark, and it is a complete course altogether, which you can find on the YouTube as well these days. So you can certainly learn that aspect. But yes, so this is how you basically uh, do the packet captures and visualize that on the Wireshark application. Okay. So with that, we conclude all the presentations. So we are done with the presentation part. So now you can continue with the labs. So we have lots of time left today. So you can hopefully finish all the labs for today. Okay. If anyone of you are interested in taking the exam, you can let me know. This is not compulsory. You can take it today. Otherwise, you can also just let me know on mail that whenever you want to attempt the Defense Pro Level 1 exam. Okay. Just drop me a mail that I would like to take the exam, and I'll assign a lab to you at that particular moment, and we can take it from there. So once again, thank you for attending this session, and thanks for giving us your time, and hopefully it was informative. So thank you and have a great day ahead.
I have a question, Rohit.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yesterday, I asked a question about the trigger order of the protection profile, like
Oh,
DDoS
yes,
and
yes, yes.
SYN.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Can
Thank
you
you for
share
letting me.
the? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I'll share it on the chat. Okay. Regarding your question, the SYN flood protection is the one which should be triggering first. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The SYN flood will come
I,
in first, and then the BDOS.
okay, but how about the other protection profiles?
I'll share it. I have the documentation with me, and I will share it with you. Okay.
And I
I'll
have
share it
another
on the
question.
chat. Yes,
Okay,
yes, go
thank
on.
you. How long will the lab stay accessible?
Lab, if I'm not wrong, it's accessible for this week. Okay, this week till Friday, if I'm not wrong, but I'll just confirm it and I'll share it on the chat as well.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay. Felix has a question. So, how do we get the certificates of the course? Okay, sent to us or we download it somewhere? Okay, yeah. So you mean the certificate of completion, is it?
Yes, yes, my mic wasn't working.
Oh, okay, okay, no worries. So I guess I need to first of all close this session for today, and then I'll put your attendance. And once that attendance is completed, I guess you will be getting it automatically on the portal itself or on the mail that you have completed the course. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank
And
you.
if you do not get it, just let me know or drop me a mail and I can find out a solution for you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. The recordings, so I need to close the session today. Okay, so at 9:30 p.m. my time, I'll close the session and then I'll get all the recordings. Okay, and I'll share the recordings with you on your mail. Okay, either today or tomorrow. Okay, password. Okay.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll drop it on the chat. So that's the password.
Yeah, hello.
ID, yours is, I guess, DPX19, Yusuf. Hello?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Yeah, hello.
Yes. Yes, Dio.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, go on.
just a quick question. Regarding the exam, can you just give us a brief again about it? You were saying, does the exam actually have the lab too inside it, or it's separate?
If you're taking it this week, you can use the same lab for the exam. Okay.
Okay.
But if you, let's suppose, want to do it a few weeks later, then I'll be
Mhm.
assigning you a lab separately. Okay. So this lab will expire. Okay. Then if you're doing it, let's suppose the next week after this week, then I'll be assigning you a separate lab altogether. It looks just like this. Just that
Okay.
with the lab, I'll be giving you some task documents which you need to configure on the Defense Pro.
Okay.
How
Okay.
do we sign up for that if we want to do it next week?
You just have to drop me a mail that you would like to attempt the exam at this particular date and at this time. Then I'll assign that lab immediately for you. But you have to, at least a few days before, you have to just let me know so that I can keep the labs reserved for you.
Could you maybe send in your email in the chat so we can
Yeah, sure,
note
sure.
it down?
I'll do
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, this is my email ID.
Thank you.
Sure, no worries. Any other questions? Yusuf, your mic is disabled, I guess. You have any question?
No. All good
Okay.
for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So once again, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you had a good experience. So you can continue with the labs. If you want, I'll share the IDs and password once again on the chat, so you can check it out and continue with the labs. If you face any issues, just text me on the chat. I'll be there, and I'll also share that. I mean, the sorry. So I'll also share the protection protocol list, okay, which one gets executed first and so on. I'll be sharing it on the chat shortly. So thank you
Okay.
once
Thank you.
again. Yeah. So
Thank you. Have a great day.
yeah,
Goodbye.
you too. You too. Have a great day. Bye bye.